topic we always get a lot of questions on, right? Buyers always come in, whether they're investors or buyers, even some sellers when they see this because they're curious on how it affects their value. REOs, real estate owned properties, also known as, they're pretty much like foreclosures, right? And short sales, aka distressed properties, properties that likely have not been maintained, that might be vacant, that might have squatters. These are properties that really have low values because they need a lot of love.
Yeah.
And the market could change in the future. We don't know exactly when, but in the future with these properties growing in number. Let's talk about that today.
I've been, as you know, I'm in that business. My practice is kind of divided up between traditional work, closing work, and then the default work. And so I do cover those states that you mentioned, with this type of work. And I've noticed, although here in New England, we are still very much in a seller's market. And it's, like the inventory is actually probably a little bit lower, in January of this year than it was January of last year, just for perspective, which clearly impacts the amount of REO work that could come our way, because clearly if there's a seller's market, the values are high. Somebody needs to sell their home, quickly. They're going to sell their home quick. It's not going to go to a bank that even if they are behind in their payments, because banks have a process that they have to follow, a loss mitigation process. It takes a little time to get through that, and then also even if they do get through some of that, you put the property on the market, you get it listed for a price that makes sense. You're going to sell it. So
Right.
that's why we're not seeing too much in the way of REO or short sales for that matter. In the country as a whole, I have availability to some data, and you are seeing some markets soften again. And I think those markets are typically the ones that have the most building that are happening, that has happened in the last couple of years. And then also just the ones that also went up dramatically. So potentially very overvalued. That now is getting impacted by lighter demand for buyers getting out into the market and purchasing, because they feel like it's probably a little bit too much for me right now. It's definitely costing you more money per for whatever your purchase is, however much your mortgage is today than it was, let's say, 3-4 years ago when the rates were extremely low. So that's definitely impacting people's decisions to move forward, which is a difficult process. But I think that whatever goes up will eventually go down, and it's the way it is. It's cyclical. For example, in Florida, you are seeing a softening of the market in pockets. Like South Florida, southeastern Florida, Broward, and Fort Lauderdale and Miami. And last thing I wanted to mention real quick is that we've had moratoriums in place for several years during COVID.
That's
So
right.
it takes time. People when during those moratoriums, these the servicers, the foreclosing firms, they all dialed back their staff. And so, as those moratoriums expired a couple of years ago, 3 years ago now, maybe, it takes a little time for these their inventories, their backlog to start getting worked through. So we're getting there now. I think it's slowly getting there to the point where now that COVID stuff is maybe in the rearview mirror, but not completely yet. I don't believe. I think we're still going through it.